Long before computers existed, Ada Lovelace imagined what they could become, not just machines for numbers, but tools for creativity, music, and ideas. So how did she see what no one else could? Let's turn back the clock to explore the life of Ada Lovelace. Ada Lovelace was born Augusta Ada Byron on December 10, 1815, in London, England. Her mother, Annabella Milbank, was an intelligent and highly educated woman. Her father was the famous romantic poet George Gordon Byron, better known as Lord Byron. He inherited the title Lord Byron at the age of 10, and Ada is believed to have been his only legitimate child. Lord Byron had hoped for a son and was disappointed that he had no male heir to carry on his family name. Just 5 weeks after Ada's birth, her parents separated. Baby Ada and her mother went to live with Annabella's parents. Lady Byron had many reasons for leaving her husband, and the separation left both her and Ada's lives in turmoil. Ada would never truly know her father. During his lifetime, she spent no time with him, and he never had the chance to know his daughter either. Interesting fact: Lord Byron. What was the legend and scandal surrounding Lord Byron? Lord Byron inherited enormous debts, not only from his father, known as Mad Jack Byron, but also from generations of family financial problems. His family estate, Newstead Abbey, had fallen into ruin, and he eventually sold it to help pay off some of his debts. Byron became famous not only for his poetry, but also for his extravagant lifestyle, scandalous behaviour, and reckless spending. His wife, Annabella Byron, believed he was mentally unstable and later described his behaviour as cruel and unpredictable. Byron was often intoxicated, and rumours spread about his relationships with both women and men, relationships considered scandalous and even illegal in early 1800s England. Less than a year into their marriage, Lady Byron announced that she was leaving him and taking their 5-week-old daughter, Ada Lovelace, with her. She could no longer tolerate his drinking, behaviour, and growing debts. The public scandal surrounding Lord Byron, combined with his enormous financial troubles, eventually forced him to leave England, never to return during his lifetime. Lord Byron's body is buried in the family vault at the Church of St Mary Magdalene in Hucknall, Nottinghamshire, England. According to his wishes, Byron's heart was removed and buried in the Garden of Heroes in Messalongi, Greece. Lady Byron spent much of Ada's childhood worrying that her daughter might inherit Lord Byron's volatile temperament. Determined to prevent this, she pushed Ada toward an intense, logic-based education, believing that discipline and reason might protect her from developing the same behaviours as her father. Interesting fact: Lady Annabella Byron. Ada Lovelace did not have a close relationship with her mother, Annabella Byron. Ada lived with her grandmother until she was 7 years old, while Lady Byron spent much of her time doing charitable work and seeking treatments for her poor health. To maintain the appearance of being a devoted mother, Lady Byron reportedly wrote many letters expressing concern for Ada's health and well-being. These letters could later be shown if questions arose about Ada's care. During Lady Byron's frequent absences, Ada's life was strictly managed by governesses and tutors. After her grandmother died, nearly all of Ada's daily care and education came from them. Despite her distant relationship with Ada, Lady Byron was highly active in social reform. She toured mills in northern England to inspect working conditions, supported educational reform for the working class, and founded the Ealing Grove School in the 1830s to teach boys practical skills. She was also a dedicated abolitionist who attended the 1840 World Anti-Slavery Convention and regularly socialized with leading intellectuals and scientists of her time. Ada was given a personal governess and studied subjects such as history, languages, music, chemistry, literature, mathematics, and sewing. When possible, she was also taught horseback riding. Ada received a kitten named Mrs. Puff to help comfort her during the long periods when her mother was away. When Ada was just 8 years old, she received the sad news that her father, Lord Byron, had passed away. Always searching for adventure, Byron had travelled to Greece to take part in the Greek War of Independence in 1824. The Greeks were fighting for independence from the Ottoman Empire. Lord Byron did not die from battle wounds, but from a severe fever and the bloodletting treatments doctors used in an attempt to save his life. After his death, many British people changed their opinion of him. His body was welcomed back to England, where crowds gathered to mourn the famous poet. Ada attended his funeral. Around the age of 12, Ada became fascinated with the idea of flight. She designed mechanical wings and even created an illustrated guide she called Flyology, where she explored the proper proportions between wings and the human body. Believing people might one day fly like birds, Ada dreamed of creating a flying machine herself. Her mother eventually ended the project, fearing Ada was neglecting her studies. After her obsession with flight faded, Ada's next great passions became mathematics and astronomy. Throughout her childhood, Ada suffered from debilitating migraines and frequent illnesses that left her in poor health for much of her early life. In 1829, at around 13 years old, Ada contracted measles, which left her partially paralyzed and bedridden for nearly a year. She needed crutches to walk and recovered only slowly over time. But despite her illnesses, Ada never lost her deep interest in mathematics. During her teen years, Ada Lovelace gained an unfortunate reputation after her mother discovered her in a compromising situation with her male math tutor. Fearing that Ada might follow a troubled path in life, Lady Byron pushed her even harder toward mathematics, a subject that soon became Ada's greatest passion. In 1833, when Ada was 17, her mentor, Mary Somerville, introduced Ada to inventor Charles Babbage, and everything changed. Babbage was deeply impressed by Ada's intelligence and later called her the enchantress of numbers. He was very interested in showing Ada his difference engine, a massive mechanical calculator intended to solve mathematical tables automatically. The British government was very interested at first because such tables were used for navigation, engineering, and astronomy, and human errors in them could be deadly. During this time, Ada found love. In the spring of 1835, William King Noel was introduced to Ada Byron. Having been out of the country, he knew nothing of the rumours surrounding her. He quickly became captivated by Ada, and the two were married on July 8, 1835. On June 30, 1838, William King was granted the title Earl of Lovelace by Queen Victoria. Ada then became the Countess of Lovelace, the name by which history would remember her. The marriage connected Ada to William King's wealthy family, giving her the financial stability to continue pursuing her studies. Although he was not her intellectual equal, William supported Ada's scientific interests and encouraged her working relationship with Charles Babbage. Together, they had 3 children: Byron, born in 1836, Anne Isabella, born in 1837, and Ralph Gordon, born in 1839. Ada kept her interest in Babbage's machine during these years. She resumed her campaign for funding the building of the engine. The government had given Babbage a large amount of money to build the machine, but there were problems. Babbage constantly redesigned parts of the machine, making it more complicated and expensive. He also argued with his chief engineer and struggled to manage the project. Years passed, large sums of money were spent, and the machine was never fully completed. Eventually, the British government lost patience and stopped funding it. But while working on the difference engine, Babbage came up with an even more ambitious idea: the Analytical Engine. Unlike the difference engine, which could only perform one type of calculation, the Analytical Engine was designed to be programmable. It would have used punched cards, memory storage, and a central processing system, concepts very similar to modern computers. Ada translated an Italian article by Luigi Menabrea about Babbage's Analytical Engine. Her own annotations were 3 times longer than the original text. She detailed a step-by-step algorithm designed to compute Bernoulli numbers on Babbage's proposed analytical engine in Note G. This is now considered the first published computer program. Ada Lovelace immediately understood how revolutionary the machine could be. She helped explain and promote Babbage's ideas through her famous notes and writings. Ada believed the machine could someday process symbols, compose music, and handle more than just mathematics. And while most people saw a machine that could calculate, Ada Lovelace imagined a machine that could one day imitate human thought. Babbage and Ada hoped wealthy supporters or the British government might finance the machine, but several problems stood in the way. Babbage already had a reputation for overspending government money. The machine was extremely expensive and difficult to build with 1800s technology. Many people simply could not understand why such a machine would even be useful. Some critics thought Babbage was more of a dreamer than a practical inventor. Funding was hard to come by. At one point, Ada joined some friends and became involved in a risky gambling scheme involving mathematical formulas, hoping to raise money for the project. The plan failed badly and left her in large debt. Her losses led to significant debt and forced her to secretly pawn family diamonds that belonged to her husband. She claimed she had inherited her father's compulsive, passionate nature. She often related her personal struggles, including her gambling debts, intense energy and mood swings, to the inherited tendencies of her father, the notorious poet Lord Bryon. Sadly, the Analytical Engine was never completed during either of their lifetimes, but historians now recognize it as the first true design for a modern computer. But the story does not end there. Babbage's designs were so advanced that modern engineers later discovered they actually could work. In 1991, the Science Museum in London successfully built Babbage's difference engine using only materials and techniques available in the 1800s, proving his ideas had been correct all along. In late 1851, it was discovered that Ada Lovelace had been suffering from uterine cancer for some time. She endured extreme pain from the disease, made even worse by the harsh medical treatments of the era. Her physicians prescribed substances such as opium, laudanum and morphine to ease her suffering. Other treatments included bloodletting, a dangerous practice based on the belief that removing excess blood could restore balance and cure illness. It did not. While she was ill, Ada received a visit from Charles Dickens, who read to her from his 1848 novel, Dombey and Son. Dickens was close not only to Ada, but also to her collaborator Charles Babbage. Ada was also friends with Florence Nightingale, who later remarked that Ada likely lived as long as she did because of the tremendous vitality of the brain. Interesting fact, medicines of the time. Unfortunately, during Ada Lovelace's lifetime, medicine and pharmacology were still in their early stages. One of the most common medicines of the era was laudanum, a mixture of opium and strong alcohol. It was cheap, widely available, and considered a cure-all remedy. Doctors prescribed laudanum for nearly everything, including pain, cholera, rheumatism, dysentery, insomnia, and even menstrual cramps. Laudanum was also reportedly used by famous Victorian and Romantic-era writers such as Charles Dickens and Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Some believed the drug not only relieved pain, but also stimulated creativity and imagination. What people did not yet understand was how dangerously addictive laudanum could be. As Ada's health worsened, many people noticed signs of addiction and believed the drug contributed to her mood swings, reckless behavior, and growing gambling problems. But because the pain caused by her cancer was so severe, Ada was unable to stop taking it. In 1852, while on her deathbed, Ada reportedly made a confession to her husband concerning her personal affairs, possibly involving debts or infidelity. The revelation deeply upset him, and he temporarily abandoned her, though he did return shortly before her death. Because many of Ada's personal letters were later destroyed by her husband, the exact details of her confession remain unknown. Ada Lovelace passed away on November 27, 1852, at just 36 years old. Her final wish was to be buried beside the father she had never truly known, Lord Byron. That wish was granted. If this story inspired you, join us as we continue uncovering the lives of women who changed the world. Subscribe to Heroines of History and keep the light of history alive. And let us know in the comments who your favorite heroine is. Bye for now.